Today, we're diving into parks. It's this absolutely gorgeous game that takes you on a journey through the U.S. national parks. It's perfect for 2 to 5 players, and, it takes about an hour to play.
So, the goal here is simple. In the next few minutes, we're going to cover everything you need to know to get this game from the box to the table and start your first game. So, let's get right into it.
All right, first up, what's your goal in parks? Okay, so the whole point of the game is to score the most points by the time you've gone through 3 seasons. Now, you're mostly going to get those points by visiting all these amazing national parks. But hey, you can also score by snapping some photos, and on top of that, by completing a secret personal goal that you get right at the beginning.
But before we can start hiking, we've got to set up the game. Let's walk through how to do that.
First things first, get the main board and the resource trays out on the table. Then you're going to take all those trail site tiles, give them a good shuffle, and just place one randomly on each spot along the trail. After that, add the weather tokens, making sure to alternate between sun and water. And finally, let's set up the markets. Shuffle the decks and lay out 3 park cards, 3 gear cards, and 3 canteens for everyone to see.
Okay, board's ready. Now for you. Go ahead and pick a color and grab your 2 hiker tokens. Pop them right at the start of the trail, that's the trailhead. You'll also get a player board that matches your color, a random canteen, and a campfire token. Everyone also gets one of these secret passion cards. This is your personal goal for the game. Oh, and here's a fun little rule. Whoever was the last person to actually visit a national park in real life, you get to go first.
All right, we're all set up. So, the game itself is played over 3 rounds, but in this game, they're called seasons. Let's break down how a season works.
So the core gameplay is actually super simple. On your turn, you pick one of your 2 hikers. That's it, just one. You have to move them forward on the trail, and you can go as far as you want, as long as you land on an open spot. The moment you land, you get to take the action of that site. Easy, right?
But wait, what happens if the exact spot you want to go to is already taken by someone else's hiker? Well, that's what your campfire is for. To land on an occupied site, you have to extinguish your campfire by flipping the token over. It's a really powerful move, but be careful. You can only do it once per season, so you really got to make it count. A lot of the spots you'll be landing on are all about gathering resources, and they're really straightforward, which is great. You land on a mountain, you get a mountain token. Land on a forest, you get a forest token. Pretty simple. The sun and water spots are even better. They give you 2 tokens each. And you're going to need these resources because they're basically the currency you'll use for all the big important actions in the game. Okay, now for one of the most important actions, dealing with the parks themselves. When you land here, you have 2 really key options. First, you can reserve a park. This just means you grab a park card and keep it in front of you to visit later. Or if you've already got the resources you need, you can visit a park. You pay the cost right then and there, and that park is officially yours, and its points are locked in for the end of the game. So let's take a closer look at one of these park cards so you know what you're looking at. Up here in the top left, that's the cost, the resources you need to pay to visit it. The big number in the banner, that's how many points it's worth when the game is over. And you'll want to keep an eye out for this little lightning bolt symbol. If a park has one of those, it means you get an instant bonus action the second you visit it, which can be a real game changer. If you land on a spot with a camera icon, you can take a photo. It's super easy. You just spend any single resource you have, and you get a photo token. Each one is worth a point at the end. But here's the thing. The person who has the most photos at the end of the game gets a special bonus. So yeah, it definitely pays to be the group photographer. Now, let's talk about your canteens. These are awesome for making you more efficient. See, anytime you're supposed to gain a water token, you get a choice. You can just take the water and add it to your supply, or you can place that water token on one of your canteen rows instead. If you do that, you don't get the water, but you do get whatever bonus is shown on that canteen. It's an amazing way to turn water into the exact resource you're desperate for. Eventually, your hiker is going to make it all the way to the end of the path, to a spot called Trail's End. Once a hiker gets there, they're done for the season. But you get one last big action. You can choose one of 3 things: visit or reserve a park, take a photo, or, and this is a big one, purchase gear. Gear cards are great because they give you these powerful ongoing abilities that last for the rest of the entire game. And there's a cool little bonus here. The first person to get there and choose each of those 3 actions gets a little something extra. Okay, so once everyone's hikers are at Trail's End, the season is officially over. And there's a quick cleanup phase. First, we see who gets the season bonus.
Then everyone empties the water out of their canteens and flips their campfire token back to the lit side. After that, all the hikers go back to the start of the trail, and we set up a whole new trail for the next season.
And after all that hiking, we finally get to the grand finale, ending the game and seeing who won.
This part's really easy to remember. The game ends as soon as you finish that third and final season. Once that last cleanup is done, that's it. Pencils down, it's time to score.
So how do you figure out your final score? It's just a simple checklist. First, add up the points from all the park cards you visited. Then, you get 1 point for every single photo you took. Remember that photo bonus? Whoever took the most photos gets it now. After that, check your secret passion card to see if you earned any points there. And finally, if you're the one holding the first hiker token, you get 1 last point.
And that's pretty much it. Add it all up, and the hiker with the most points wins. Now, if you happen to have a tie, the winner is the person who visited the most individual parks.
Okay, before we wrap this up, I want to give you one quick but really important tip that a lot of new players miss.
And it's this: your backpack isn't bottomless. You can only hold a maximum of 12 resource tokens at a time. So, if you ever end your turn with more than 12, you have to discard down to that limit. So the big takeaway here is don't just hoard resources for no reason. You've got to spend them to make room for more and, actually visit those parks. And there you have it. That's everything you need to know to play your first game of Parks. Hopefully this gets you hiking on the trail in no time. Enjoy the journey.